Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time. He's got him. Side touch is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Perfection. Expect nothing else. Do you like to make yourself a hot cup of coffee to start your day? We have both whole bean and grounded. Also great for all you iced coffee if not a hot kind of person. Even make yourself a frappe to quench your thirst. The best tasting coffee with espresso. It's only $18.99 plus taxes for a 12-ounce bag. Buy 1 to 5 bags and shipping is only $7. If you spend over $100, shipping is absolutely free.
Good morning. Welcome to Kenneca in the Morning. We, of course, have Rob with us as usual. Hey, a little bit of news on the Tua piece. The Dolphins have an insurance policy of almost $50 million. Should Tua not be medically cleared to play. So his contract, 4 years, $212.4 million, includes $167 million in injury guarantees, $43 million of which have already been paid out. The $124 million guarantee that Tua gets, they're still on the hook for whether he comes back or not. It's crazy, but basically if he retires after this, they'll get $50 million. Yeah, they have insurance policies worth up to almost $50 million, so they're not at a total loss, I guess. I mean, it's not like earth-shattering news or anything, but they're in a position where, okay, they can at least recover some of the financial loss should Tua not be cleared to play. This whole thing with Tua is kind of interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, because you're getting the whole, the love of the game and all that type of stuff, but at the same time, it's you got to protect sometimes the guy from himself, because you can see that he wants to play, but, man, you're really risking something major now at this point after your 5th concussion like that. I was going to say, does he want to be like Brett Favre, where he wakes up some days and doesn't even have any idea who he is?
Well,
because I've heard Brett say that multiple times.
That's the question. Is and I know you guys are. I actually followed Brett Favre yesterday, not because of football, because of some other things he's saying, but partially because of football, because he's he mentioned about Tua, on X, and someone said in reply when I asked him, I actually asked him, he hasn't replied yet, I don't know if he ever will, but said, hey, what about, honestly, should he be coming back? Should he be trying to play? And someone said, well, Brett had some of his best games when he was concussed. Like, okay, that's great, but does that mean he should do it? Just because, Brett had great games when he was concussed doesn't mean Tua should go out there and do it. Like, we all know Tua's a tough guy. We've already seen him come back. We've seen him try to play through. No one's doubting that. But does it make sense for him to continue, I guess, is the bigger question. And, that's kind of what needs the answer, right? It's like, yeah, Brett Favre had some amazing games. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers did too. I'm sure Jay Cutler did, Tony Romo, Dan Marino, Ben Roethlisberger. Just go through the quarterback room. I'm sure they all did. But does that mean is it, when they're 40 some years old and can't hold their kid or their grandkid, is that worth it? The fans are going to be quick to say, oh, yeah, it's worth it. Well, it's not you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's like these kids who want to go infantry, airborne, ranger, ho, rah, rah. That sounds great until you're 35 and have bad knees and a bad back and can't walk anymore.
That's the problem, man. When you're young, you burn it at both ends. That's just how it is. Think you're invincible. The younger you feel.
So, Sarah says Tua is being unfair.
Nobody's gonna let Jeremy in.
Anything happens to Tua, and
I wasn't just going to pop in on my own.
Yeah, no, it's all good, bro.
Sorry, Sarah. I was reading your comment, but I don't know if this Tua situation is unfair to the O line. I mean, the O line.
Even the concussion didn't happen on the O line.
And
he was wide out in space. He was out in space.
He had the first down. He should have slid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he should have slid. You got that right. I mean, that's why they made that rule. They gave the quarterbacks a way to get out of fucking getting killed, and you fucking don't take it. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. You should have just fucking took that slide, bro. He'd be still playing today. He's not there. No one's going to let him back in, man. If he's got, who? You don't take somebody who's sick and put them someplace and watch them die. You just don't do it. They're not going to put him out there. They're not going to watch him get killed. They're not going to watch him. It's just not going to happen. Dun, 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 dun.
Please continue.
Good morning, Josh. What's up, buddy? Go pack
Man, you got it. You understand.
Jordan Love status, same as it was.
Yeah. With how good Malik Willis actually played last week,
I don't want to hear it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they give Jordan Love an extra week, especially since we're playing Tennessee.
I don't care.
He's got that extra motivation to go out there and say, you morons drafted this guy and put him ahead of me, and then you traded me? Okay.
I think that if the Packers are in a position where, look, they got a gift last week. They pulled out a W without their starting quarterback. Even if they were to lose and go to 2-1 in the greater scheme of things, it's not going to end their playoff hope. But if it can ensure that Jordan Love is healthy and not risking a MCL tear, take the extra week. You've got that luxury. You have that luxury right now at this part of the season with the way the record is. You're fine. You're 1-1. You got a gift last week. You're playing Tennessee, which has a quarterback who likes to give the ball away. Yes, they have a really good defense, and that's the other reason why I run Malik out there is because I don't want Jordan Love risking that knee because he will get touched against the Titans. They have a very good defensive front. So I would give Love the extra week. Your worst case scenario is you're 1-2. That doesn't kill your playoff chances. It doesn't end your season. But losing Jordan Love in week 3 of the NFL season because he wasn't 100% could ruin your entire season.
Yeah, that could happen. They're not going to put him out there if he's not ready. I got every faith in him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm tending to agree with you there, Josh, on Tua, which is what we were trying to talk about a little bit before. For fans, it's easy for us to say, "Oh yeah, he should keep playing," because we don't have to live the life. 10, 15 years from now, when he's out of the league, 20 years from now, when he's out of the league, is he going to be able to function as a human being, like just do normal stuff?
Oh, and he's a stuttering, slobbering fool because he's got no faculties.
That's the question that he needs to answer, mostly for himself. But there are some levels like protect the guy from himself because, like Rob said, or was it Ken? We're young, we burn it for both ends of the candle, and you're not going to necessarily make the right decision for your future. You're making the decision for the now. I don't want to let the fans down. Tua does not have to worry about letting the fans down. I I'm waiting for there'll be a snarkier remark that he always lets him down the playoffs. But look at he's done what you probably asked him to do. He's come back. He's made the valiant effort. I mean, if they don't medically clear him, or if his family says enough's enough, there's no shame in it.
Yesterday, Nate Burleson on CBS reached out to Javid Best, and he texted him back about the whole Tua situation. And he literally said what Tua really needs to think about is not so much what's going to happen through the rest of his 20s, is what's going to happen to him at 50 and 60.
Yeah.
Because that is why he had to make the hard decision that while he was in the peak health of his life and cleared to come back and play, he had to make the decision to retire, the benefit of living a full life.
What's the point of having $150+ million if you can't use it, or if you are using it just to pay for medical bills?
Yeah. How are we going to say that that's when it's time for your corner to throw in the towel for you and say you've taken enough of a beating, time to go home?
Like I would bet if you were to talk to Brett Favre, he would probably tell you he should have left the game 2 or 3 years earlier than he did because of concussion. And hindsight always being 20/20, it might even be earlier than that. But that fan made a point. Sure, he had some of his best games with some cuts, but does that make it right? I don't think that. So he won a game. Great. How's that one game benefiting his life now when he can't do things? And fans just break it down to, oh, well, they won the game. But when he's 50, he can't walk. Oh, that's okay. That's, to me, how it feels when a fan says that.
Ask Jake Tatum if they wish they had CTE protocols in place when he played the game. The guy that made himself deaf from hitting people so hard with how it rang in his helmet.
Yeah. Sarah's comment's great. I take the money and sip on mimosa for the rest of my life on the beach. Exactly, Sarah.
I mean, you're talking about 120 million from the NFL and 47 million from an insurance policy. That's 167 million reasons.
Hey, Paul, that's incorrect.
Sit out.
Jim McMahon does not have to wear shades because of CTE. He wears shades because when he was a child, he got stabbed in the eye with a fork. And that's why he always wore sunglasses. He's light.
Then why did Jim McMahon himself say that?
What the fork thing he did say in interviews, because when he was playing in '85, everyone's like, "Why are you always wearing sunglasses?" And he explained that story. I'm sure. He has CTE as well. He has said that, but the sunglass thing predates all that. He actually said he got stabbed in an eye as a child, and he was he's always been light sensitive. So that's. Maybe now he's talking more about CTE because that's the thing. But if you look back in his interviews from like the 80s, that's what he talks about when he talks about why he wears sunglasses all the time.
Right.
He was light sensitive due to an eye injury. Fred, Tua needs to retire. Hell, I'm only 33. I played for 8 years. I have a few concussions. Now I'm a diesel mechanic. My body aches every day. Yeah. It adds up. It all adds up. I have a buddy of mine who's a former player. Didn't play much in the NFL. He played mostly in arena ball, won a couple rings in arena ball. And I know he has to continue to work out every day. And if he doesn't, if he misses one day, he almost can't function. His body gets so sore.
Somebody made a comment about accuracy, completion percentages, and hitting in the major leagues. Do you know there's only one career outside of sports where you can be as inaccurate as a Major League Baseball player or a quarterback that only hits 65% and still keep a job? Do you know what job that is?
What, president?
Podcaster?
Meteorologist.
There you go.
Weatherman, because they get it wrong all the fucking time and keep their jobs.
No, I'm dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm deadly serious too.
Should Miami trade for Bryce Young, Sarah?
No, no. I'd say let whatever's happening with him in Carolina just happen over there, and
Well,
just work out something to get through the season. If you're not,
they just picked up Huntley, a guy they should think about trading for, who's never really had anything good, including coaching, is sitting as QB3 and on the practice squad somewhere else, and they might even not have to trade for him. It's Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson has had games where he looked good and then games where he looked bad. But a lot of those games where he looked bad, if you go back and look, the tight ends and wide receivers were dropping balls. You know, it wasn't just Zach Wilson being inaccurate.
A-Dub says that let me get back to his comment. A-Dub made a good comment, where he made a comment, I should say, about. Let me get back to his comment. I don't want to lose it.
Morning, Joe.
Here we go. He said, to a situation.
Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Joe. To a situation, it's just as scary as DeMar Hamlin when he nearly died last season. I would.
Imagine.
Yeah, in some
DeMar
ways,
Hamlin's the one who hit him too.
that's what I
Hamlin's
was
the one who
about to
knocked him
say.
out.
Isn't it ironic that that's what it was?
Yeah, that you knocked him out.
But the situation with DeMar is a little bit different, though, as far as like even what the injury was, with what the ramifications are going to be long term for DeMar versus what they're going to be for Tua. I would agree that was scary in terms of, especially DeMar Hamlin literally died on the field and had to be resuscitated. That, though, if I remember correctly, with DeMar, though, isn't that more based off a very rare, like super rare thing that occurred? Whereas with Tua, like DeMar is going to be able to have, if he plays 10 more years, right? That's not going to be the issue for him, right? But if Tua plays 5 more years, it's going to be a lot different issue. Well, let me finish the statement, guys. But if Tua plays, it's a whole different issue for what he's going to look at 50 versus what DeMar's going to look at 50. Because what happened to DeMar is not going to be a lifetime debilitator like the concussions are. Go ahead.
Right. What was it the announcer said when they did the research onto what caused that heart attack for DeMar Hamlin? It was the perfect heart rate and the perfect hit at the perfect time at the perfect speed. It was a 1 in 1 million shot. It was a 1 in 1 million shot. And you know what? I was almost as scared for DeMar Hamlin as I was for Tua because he hit him in that same place. What if his heart rate was at that heart rate again because he was in the middle of peak performance?
I was thinking more of the psychological aspect than DeMar Hamlin.
I haven't even got into that part of it.
I mean, because the physicality of that play, DeMar really didn't even. He turned his body so the chest wasn't going to be exposed, but the mental aspect of DeMar after going through what he went through, and now he is part of the play where Tua is concussed and could end his career. Hamlin didn't even hit him really. Hamlin kind of turn his body because Tua was already going down. So but just to be part of the play psychologically might. Especially after going through what he went through, might weigh on him more than the physical.
Well, with DeMar, it was like got hit at the perfect moment in the heartbeat cycle is what it was. It wasn't like that his heart rate was at the right, that his heart rate was at this certain speed. It was just like your heart has a cycle, that electrical impulse that causes your heart to beat. He got hit right at that specific moment and it just stopped his heart from beating. Like, so it's literally like getting struck by lightning. It happened very, very. That's scary to think too. Like, imagine if somebody just walks up and punches you in the chest, like one of your buddies, you're playing around, and they just happen to hit you at that right second. You just fall over dead.
I mean, and Luca, real quick, just to clear this piece up, the money's not going to be an issue for him because he's going to he has a $125 million guarantee in his contract, plus he has insurances, just as the Dolphins have insurances for injury.
Yeah, they're going to
money's
settle
not
with
the
them
issue.
Yeah,
he's going to walk away with he's going to walk away with so much money. great-great-grandchildren are not going to have to work if they manage their money.
Right. If he's medically told he should retire, then he gets that. Now, if he chooses to retire and he's cleared to play, he is not entitled to any of it.
Mm.
You know, though,
That's the difference.
that's going to bring up another debate, though, with the NFLPA, and rightfully so. At what point? Because I mean, look at what's medically clear mean. Well, okay, you don't have any effective concussion right now, but should he be medically cleared?
I understand that.
We're
I
gonna find out what
understand
the
what
NFL
it's.
soul is made of.
I mean, honestly, I think if he retires, the Dolphins pay it because of the political side of that with fans and players. If he decides for his health, even though they medically clear him to play, that he cannot risk further head injury, and the Dolphins say, "Oh, we're not going to pay you any money," that is just going to start a fire that will burn down whatever they're calling the stadium in Miami these days. Because that place changes names faster.
Not to
I mean,
mention, he could have a potential lawsuit. Remember when he got smashed into the turf and then like he got knocked out and then they put him right back in a week later and he got knocked out again? Like that kind of got swept under the rug. I mean, it didn't get swept under the rug completely. Like, you know, they made new policies about it and stuff, but like, but at the same time, he was the one that happened to, and he didn't sue the league. So, you know, if they did decide to say, hey, we're not going to give you no money, he has a huge potential lawsuit there.
That's actually, Luca says, didn't the Lions make Calvin Johnson pay back his money? Just the bonus money, because the bonus was part of his guaranteed money, and he chose not to finish his contract. He had nothing medical that told him he needed to retire. He chose to retire. And it's actually a rule. And most players don't whine about it when it happens because it's a rule. Some of the teams go ahead and forego it, but a lot of the teams do it, and you just don't hear about it. Calvin Johnson's just the first person to whine about it because it's been in the league since 2008.
Yeah, I think in this case, though, if he decides to retire because of the concussion, I think they'll end up paying him the money because if it's being medically cleared to play, is it really being medically cleared to play in this case with CTE, as we know, is an issue, the amount of concussions he has. I mean, either that or they'll come to some kind of agreement beforehand because obviously he'll talk to the team. He's not just going to tweet out, "Hey, I'm retiring." He'll probably talk to the team. I mean, he could do that, but I mean, I have a feeling that with the way that his relationship is with that team and that coach, there'll be discussions. And if he's going to retire, it's going to be something that they're all going to talk about before he announces, and they'll already come to some type of agreement. But if he retires because of this and the dangers to his health and his well-being as a person, I think the Dolphins would actually just give him the guaranteed money. That's why they have the insurance in this case. I think they'd give him a significant portion of it. They'd come to some type of agreement. Agreement. But if you were to walk and say, "Well, we're not going to pay you another dime," that's pitchforks will be out in Miami and across the league for that matter.
Another interesting question is if Tua decides, should Miami just go ahead and go into a full rebuild, trade off a Tyreek and trade off their good players and start all over, or should they try to, go out and get another quarterback and make it work?
That's what I do. I take the mulligan for this year and call it a wash, but I go out and try to get yourself the best quarterback you possibly can for the next year and try rolling with it. They've built something nice in Miami offensive wise, so
and defensive wise too.
Yeah,
Well,
I was going to say,
solid
your
other than
defense
just
is a lot
quarterback.
better than I thought it was going to be.
And
Money wise,
defensively, they have a couple pieces who are still out from last year who are big contributors. So I mean, you could call this a get healthy year, and still be competitive, but don't go making big swings for players or anything at the trade deadline. Like, just let the chips go where they may. Try to get the quarterback you need in the draft. Try to get your guys who have the torn ACLs and that went out the end of the playoffs and that last year back for next year and go. But I wouldn't do a tank situation. I would just be like, okay, let's put the best thing we can put out there and see what happens, but not try to manufacture a move or two maybe this season unless you're really still in it. I mean, it's a tough call because they've got good pieces on both sides of the ball. They do have some players who will be coming back at some point this season, who are going to impact them on the positive side on defense, especially. But the quarterback, I mean, it's such a pivotal position. If they can't find a way forward, they're going to have to make a decision. Do we go all in and try to just get what we can, or do we just let the chips fall where they made this season and get the quarterback we need?
If Tua decides to retire, are they on the hook for a portion of his salary as far as the salary cap goes?
What's up, Matt?
Well, that'll depend on how it's officially done. If it's morning, Matt. If it's medical, no. If it's they're gonna have to talk to the
You're right,
NFL.
Doug.
I think actually this creates an interesting situation for the NFL because even if they clear him to play, it begs the question: is he really cleared to play with CTE, concussion? They may have to be looked at and maybe give. If I were the NFL, I'd give him a waiver. If he retires, I'd give him a waiver on and call it medical because technically, yeah, the doctors are saying he could play tomorrow, but you know what I mean? This is that area they're walking into right now.
You don't want to
The
take
NFL
that risk though, because if he gets, what happens if he gets another severe concussion on the
That's
field,
what I'm
like he
saying.
dies on the field or something?
Yeah. That's
it's
what I'm saying. Like the
too
NFL
much of a risk.
is with the salary cap because from the team side of the house, right? You want Tua to play.
Oh, sure, Jason, 100%.
If you may want
Right,
Tua to
man.
retire for him as a person, but if he retires and he's medically cleared by doctors, say, well, he's good to play right now today. But now you've got this other aspect of it. This is could be a very sticky situation for not just the Dolphins, but the NFL. And I would be shocked if the NFL isn't already having discussions internally about what to do if Tua should be, quote unquote, medically cleared to play, but decide to retire due to the concussion. Especially
Lucas says he forfeits
the
$142 million.
Well, I mean, the way they've been pushing CT awareness, head injury awareness, head trauma awareness, and if they were to say, well, you're on the hook for all the cap money because he's medically cleared, does that then not fly in the face of everything they've been preaching about player protection, CTE, concussion protocols, and everything?
Yeah, Lucas says that if Tua chooses to retire, he forfeits $142 million. That his salary this season is only $1.2 million that he gets to keep, and he keeps the signing bonus, but he forfeits $142 million or $124 million.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, though, I think that if he were to retire, I think he wouldn't have. I don't think he'd forfeit all that. I think the Dolphins.
What's up, broski?
Hey, bros, I think the Dolphins there would be some kind of either agreement or because, like I said, if they don't, then they're pretty much telling players that all this stuff they've been talking about, head injuries, is garbage. That they don't really care. That it's all lip.
Go Pack, go.
This is a situation where the NFL and the team in general are going to have to put their money where their mouth is in terms of CTE and head injury.
Bryce Young just requested a trade.
Well, who the fuck's gonna want that guy? I mean,
Miami.
maybe Miami. There you go. Holy
Here's
fuck,
a
bro.
question: if you're Miami, do you make a trade for Bryce Young now, even with Tua undecided?
Yeah,
No.
for a third-round pick.
I mean,
Or
as
do you
the
just poach,
if the owners of Miami he's gone, yeah, you got to do this.
Ken, did you
Or
say
do
a
you-
third-round pick?
Yep.
I'm like a bag of Cheetos and a ham sandwich.
Yeah, right.
Be a
You could
sixth
get it
round or
for
a
cheap.
7th round pick.
I was going to say he was the first overall pick just
That's
a
yeah.
couple years ago. So
That's what he
It's a year and
was.
a half
That ain't
ago.
what he is now.
It's like we'll give you a 6th, and then you turn around and give us a 7th. Like it's gonna be some like
Jig is up. We know what you get when you get Bryce Young. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe in Miami it's a better weapons, better. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be
O-line's
funny if
better, but
Bryce Young goes to Miami and all of a sudden starts balling out and
Holy,
it was Carolina all along?
it was Carolina the whole time.
Here's a
Would
question:
not shock
would
me.
anyone be surprised if he did do that, given the state of the team in Carolina versus the
Facts,
state of
Joe,
the team in Miami?
I think he could do better in Miami. I'm not going to say he would be good, but I mean, with those weapons,
He's a
like
hobbit. Sarah says he's a hobbit.
he would certainly be better than he's doing right now.
He's 5'9".
Bryce Young would have the same problem in Miami that he has in Carolina, because regardless of the weapons, regardless of the running
The
game,
Steelers.
the O-line isn't good.
Fucking Philip.
Yeah, but isn't the I would say the O line's better in Miami than it is in.
Whoa, he's a bigger
Carolina.
bust than Jamarcus.
But
What?
even if it's
Same
not,
level.
even if the offensive
Same
line
level,
is the
but I
same
don't
level,
know.
at least he
Jamarcus
has
is
those
pretty
quick dump offs to Tyreek and to to Waddle. You know, like in Carolina, he has nobody to really throw to. I mean, he has the
And he has no
corpse
running
Adam
game.
Thielen. Like, so I think he would have to do better in Miami. Like again, I'm not saying he would be good, but he would have to do better than he is now.
And A-Dub's got the perfect comment there. That's exactly what I thought, A-Dub. Panthers will demand a haul close to what they gave up to acquire Bryce Young. They have
And
to
they-
save
nobody
Gates
will give
if
it.
they're going to trade. But the
Nobody's
problem
going
with
to give him
A-Dub,
that.
yeah, I mean, and look, you see everyone shaking their head, A-Dub. The problem is they're not going to get it. They are going to get, at best, from a very desperate team, maybe a second round. That's a big maybe.
That's
Penn's
why I
thinking
said
third.
Yeah, that's why I said a third. It still gives you some value, but it's not one of those. Oh my God! You're giving up a whole bunch for them.
He needs a.
But you know what they can do for just $18.99? They get some coffee to drink while they think it over.
Holy shameless plug, Batman.
Was that good or what? And JB, I got a question for you, because if you notice something hasn't posted to the comments when the QR code came up today, like it did the other day.
Shut up, man, Henry. We all know about Andrews being a bust.
But
It's
but
not
look at
showing
that.
a
They need
counter
to
yet
drink-
either.
They need to they need to be drinking some coffee down there, because they got
I just think Bryce got put in a bad situation. That's all.
I mean, he's
not a
what,
bad
on his
quarterback.
third coach in 3 years? He's on his
Yeah, I
third
mean,
coach
maybe-
in 3 years.
And
His
no
third
talent.
offensive coordinator.
No talent.
No
around. I know
talent
they
on
traded
the-
away DJ Moore. I mean, they gave away the talent.
I mean,
There's just no way.
we've all talked about it.
I just think he's in a bad situation. Maybe he'll get traded. I don't think they're going to get the haul, so I don't know that he's going anywhere. I mean, they'll have to make that decision. Do we keep him or, take a loss?
Sarah,
While we
Sarah,
all
who's
talk
the
about the
MILF hunter?
biggest,
Broski,
Well-
are you really asking who the MILF hunter is?
But at another
There's
on
Zach
another
Wilson,
on the flip side of that though, Carolina gets their first round picks back this year, right? So
Yeah,
Like,
they give up their second round pick to Chicago.
so they could cut
Still,
bait.
They're still
They can cut
paying
bait
for
and they
that
could still
trade.
get a quarterback this year because they're going to be terrible whether Bryce is there or not. They're going to be the worst team in the NFL probably.
They're hard.
Well, you know what's funny is they're still paying for that trade, and now the guy they used the pick for wants a trade out.
Yeah,
It-
but if they could, my point was that they could trade him, they could cut bait on him and take a second or third, and they'd still have a first round pick this year, a
Yeah.
top 5 pick, most likely to get another quarterback.
Oh, that might be
So
over
it's
one
not-
overall. They might have
Yeah,
the number
so-
one pick, but
Yeah, so it's not a
Jim's
bad.
selling
It
it.
wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, right now it would be a good time to say, hey, you know what? Like this dude's just not it for us. Let's see if we can get something for him, and then go into next year. Drafting a new quarterback.
Jameis Winston to Miami? Maybe. It's not
Oh.
bad. Who knows?
I was gonna say old 30 for 30 ain't terrible. I was gonna say you could get it done with them, but
I mean,
I
you
don't
could
know. I don't know if Cleveland would want to move on from him. To be honest with you,
with the way Deshaun's played,
got-
would you?
that's,
it's
exactly
true.
what I-
I would be moving on from Deshaun is what I think they're going to do.
Okay, well, look at it. I mean, and if you live in Cleveland, Miami, please don't take this the wrong way. But if you're Miami and the guy can't even stay out of trouble in a sleepy, dumpy little town like Cleveland, what do you think's going to happen when he gets to Miami? I'm just
I agree,
saying.
bro.
And with the other
Anyway,
stuff floating around,
I don't think Winston's the answer to anybody's fucking squad. Are you kidding me? Guy sucks.
I think Winston could
I'm
do.
thinking
I think
Deshaun
Winston
Watson.
could
I'm
do
sorry.
well in
Jameis
Miami.
Winston's the same thing in a way. I mean,
Yeah, they're
Winston
both
had
the
problems
same.
in Florida.
Winston's
we're
style
about to
of play
see,
fits
'cause-
Miami. He likes to throw the deep ball. He likes to take chances. I think that would actually pan out in Miami. I mean, they're going to have to deal with the interceptions, but
Hey,
you know.
let's not forget he's got a bunch of LASIK eye surgery now, so maybe he won't be 30 for 30 no more. He can finally see which jersey belongs to his team.
Oh, that guy's on my team. Yeah.
I actually think Jameis to Miami makes a lot of sense. It's just I don't think Cleveland
Well,
will give him up.
But if he's going to be, if they're moving on from Watson, they can't give up Jameson too.
But how can they move on from Watson? They owe him so much guaranteed money.
They
Like,
Oh, he
restructured him.
sucks. He sucks. He fucking sucks.
Add
They
with these things,
restructured
if he ends up, they restructured him and they cleared out almost all that guaranteed money now and moved it as void payments in the last 2 years. So it's extended out 2 more years, but it's 2 more years with him off the roster.
Yeah.
So now they did that because of all this stuff that came out. Because if he's suspended, they can cut bait with him and it costs them nothing. The dead cap goes away.
Trubisky to Miami.
All these joint.
I was going to say, why not give it a shot? What's the worst that happens?
Luka.
He doesn't live up to what you think, and you're going to have a shit year.
You know what's funny though? Like the funny thing about that is, I don't know what it is with Buffalo, but Trubisky loves Buffalo. Buffalo loves Trubisky. I don't.
It was
see
because
that.
during those 3 games that Josh Allen was out, they won 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, no, but just organizationally though, they seem to vibe. Like, not I'm on the field, yes, too, but I mean, just in every way, though, that they just kind of have this vibe that, like, I think Trubisky regrets even ever signing a contract to go to Pittsburgh. That's why,
Russell
like,
Wilson
when you
to
became a free
Miami.
agent, the
Russell
second free
Wilson.
agency, the second free agency started, he was back in Buffalo. Like, he didn't even look for a starting job elsewhere. He said, "I just want to go back to Buffalo," and Buffalo's like, "We want you back." I mean, I don't know if Buffalo would part with him, to be honest with you. I think they really like Trubisky a ton up there. I mean, the price would be inflated for Trubisky, I think, from Buffalo, because Buffalo just really likes the guy. Wilson to Miami. That's an interesting concept, though, because
Yeah, because
if
I think
they're
they
gonna-
could actually get him off the practice squad.
Who, Wilson?
Yeah.
Isn't Wilson like the third stringer on the practice squad?
No, he's injured right now, technically still. That's why he's not
He might
starting.
be.
But he's on the roster. He's on the 53. He's not on the
Okay.
practice squad. He'll never see the practice squad. The
Panthers
second you
want
try to
Sam
put him
Darnold
there, he's gonna
back.
get picked up off waivers.
That's probably true.
They probably do, man.
They did go 3-2 in the 5 games he started, but the 2 games were really bad.
Tyrod Taylor. Holy shit. Is that guy still in the league?
He is actually the number 2 in Buffalo.
Where I think didn't Wentz officially retire, and Jimmy G. I don't know what he's just not in the league.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think
Wentz.
he officially
Yeah, where's
retired.
Wentz?
Jimmy G is on the Rams practice squad.
There you go.
Wow.
Stetson Bennett is the backup there. He
But
beat
like,
them
and
out.
would you really want to take Jimmy G with his injuries, like in Miami, with his injury?
They
you know,
literally
come on.
have said Tannehill's not wanted in Miami.
I think that's probably more mutual.
That's what I was going to say. Because when we first heard about this, the Tannehill to Miami thing made a bit of sense. But it was one of those, would he want to go back and would they want him back?
Mike,
There's
fair
have
enough,
already
Mike
said they
says-
don't want him back.
I was going to say they had a pretty decent divorce when he originally left.
I mean, and look at Bear Down Mike says won't take much to trade for a backup. Yes, it will if you're Miami right now, because
Yeah,
everyone knows
fucking
you're
A, bro.
desperate. Desperation jacks up prices. So, like,
Yeah.
normally what Mike is saying is correct. It doesn't cost you much to trade for a backup.
Market
Except when
value,
teams
buddy.
know except for when teams know you're desperate for a quarterback who you probably need to make your starter, that price just went up. And don't think they're going to cut him a deal.
What's up, Moon
You know,
Sky?
I mean, they may, because of the only reason I could see maybe another GM taking it easy in Miami in this situation is because of the actual situation with Tua, right? And maybe saying, well, maybe, but I don't think so. I mean, if they came for Hendon Hooker, Detroit's going to try to get everything they can out of them. They know they're desperate.
But at the
Shut
same
up.
time, they already said that Hooker isn't trade
Fucking
bait.
Matt.
So
Shut up, Matt. Just shut up, you troll.
Yeah, they already said that's not going to happen, Luka. He's making like 100 and some odd million from Fox Sports. Trust me, he ain't.
TV 12 ownership.
Jimmy G to Miami.
Jimmy G. No way.
I was
I
going to
don't-
say, are you trying to get the entire Dolphins offensive roster on the injury report?
No shit.
I'm just saying.
Really,
I'm
you
trying
just got to be able to
somebody-
throw the ball far
I'm trying
enough
to think
ahead
of a
so
backup
Tyreek
who-
and them can run underneath it.
there's two reasons why, even if they could get
I'm
TB12,
traded.
even if they could get TB12 out of the announcer booth, I don't think they would take him in Miami because of the whole tampering thing that they already got penalized for.
But here's the thing to think about too, and we're talking about how hard is it to trade a backup? Okay, let's ask this question: if you're, because like, let's look at some of the good backups who names have been thrown. Bagent for Chicago, right? We talked about Trubisky today. I just mentioned Hendon Hooker. I don't know if Detroit would really care, but they probably would. Someone just mentioned Aiden O'Connell. If you're any of these teams, are you trading your backup to a team that just lost their starter at this point in the season? Probably not, because you want the insurance for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like just think about that. Why do you want to trade for my backup? Oh, my starter's going to retire. Okay, now not even. It's just now. Week 3 starts tomorrow. Maybe it might be prudence for me to keep my backup in case my guy goes down. I mean, that's why we have them. I mean, it's going to be really hard for them to trade for a top-tier backup quarterback. If you're going to get a backup quarterback from someone, it's going to be Carolina or maybe, one of these teams that isn't that good. And then you're not getting a top-tier backup.
I'm quite sure
So-
Arizona would trade him Desmond Ritter.
Joseph said
Maybe.
all the backups suck.
Yeah, we're going to say with how good Kyler Murray's been doing so far, they might.
But
I mean,
once
he's
again,
in the
though,
top
at this
3
point
of
in this
quarterbacks
season-
this year.
Fuck you, man.
But look,
Somebody
at this
find
point in
Marcus
the
Mariota.
season, though, you have yeah, he's playing good, but he has an injury history, so maybe you want to keep him in case Kyler were to get hurt. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be really hard for them to get. They need to look at like practice squad quarterbacks, because there's a couple out there that might not be their starter, but where they could elevate their backup and make that person their backup, like guys like Ripken or like Rippon in Minnesota. Who's been in the league for a while, is a vet, has a good pedigree, showed some good accuracy and some good skills in the preseason. He might be a guy they just sign off a practice squad, elevate to their backup if he were to retire, take their current backup and let him start, and then compete for the position. Like, that might be a better situation for Miami, because they might get more out of their current backup than otherwise if they create a situation with a good backup they can pull off of, or a decent backup they can pull off practice
Fuck,
squad.
yeah.
And there are a couple out there.
Ritter over Willis.
Fucking guy over here, fucking Matt Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
He's just our backup's better than his starter.
Fucking. Oh yeah, that probably does sting. That probably does sting a little bit. That Willis is better than Williams. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, you don't have to trade Rippon. He's on the practice squad. They can just sign him,
Yeah, that'd be a relatively
right?
smart move.
It's 53. I don't think he's on the 53.
I'm sure a lot of people would trade their backup if they.
No, he's on the 53. He's their backup right now because JJ got hurt. So maybe
Right,
Rippon's
'cause-
on the 53. So you can't just go sign Rippon.
Yeah, Ripien was picked up off the waiver wire, so for the first 4 weeks minimum, he has to be on the 53.
he's in the 53, and he's the backup to Darnold. So because JJ got hurt, but I mean, there are guys
Isn't
like
Jaron
Griffin
Hall
out
on the
there that
practice
can
squad?
make it. What now?
Isn't Jaron Hall still on their practice squad?
I think he
so.
is. Yeah.
Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to look through the practice squads and look for somebody that has had some success either in the preseason or the regular season that came in a backup, and they're going to swoop them. That's why they grabbed Huntley. Now, I
mean,
will
this
say
time
that
of year.
is Huntley had a decent year that year when Lamar Jackson was hurt. But let's face it, due to injuries and people sitting out is the only reason why he made a Pro Bowl.
Well, I mean, Huntley that was I think the Huntley situation is also different because Baltimore.
Oh, Jared Hall got
smart.
poached by Seattle. Okay.
He was they were smart in their choice of backup. They had a backup whose style matched their starter, so there was no change in anything when Huntley came on because he was basically a lesser version of Lamar. So that's why I think a lot of the reason why he had the success he had is because he was so similar to Lamar in style that it made for an easy transition. That was actually kind of smart on their part. But I mean, this is that time of year though. We're going to see practice squads are going to start getting rated here in the next 2 weeks. I guarantee you, for example, Ryan Poles is looking at practice squads looking for right guards and center. Right? I mean, there are teams out there looking at practice squads where they have things that they thought they had fixed in the offseason but didn't maybe adequately fix, or guys got hurt, and they're going to be looking at practice squads to say, okay, where's a cheap option where I don't have to give away draft capital to sign a guy and try to plug a hole or plug a problem I've got on my roster coming out of camp after 2 weeks. The next couple of weeks, watch. There'll be some guys signed off practice squads. And I wouldn't be surprised if Miami isn't already looking at practice squad quarterback going, who is a guy we can bring in here?
Sarah's like, we got Mullins to trade.
So at the same time, Miami's one of those ones looking for O-line on practice squads. Carolina should be looking for O-line on practice squads. There's lots of teams that are having O-line issues right now that are probably scouring the practice squads and the free agent wire.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like look at Bakhtiari still sitting there. There's some other guys still sitting there, but Bakhtiari's probably the biggest of the names that hasn't officially retired that's still sitting there. There's some decent practice squad players. It's going to I think there's some teams looking to make some moves. And Miami is looking not just for a quarterback, but maybe some line help as well, obviously. They've got this situation with Tua is just interesting. Like, I mean, it's like you want the kid to do well. You want him to be successful. If he wants to play, you want to support him. But at the same time, you're like, dude, is it really worth it? Like, what's the byline here, Tua? Is it if I get one more concussion, I'm done? What's the plan? Like, okay, I can if he says I want to come back, I'm not against it, but it's like, what's the plan? Like, if you get one more concussion, are you done? What's the number? Is it one?
Doesn't he have to take
a
a year off already just for this being his fourth or fifth one?
No,
I thought he had to at least take a year off.
His IR is like 4 weeks, and he can come back.
Well,
I don't think the NFL has that rule where X amount of concussions and it's forced. They don't have a like. I know for like.
I think it's concussion protocol though.
No, I don't think I can see JB's mind already looking to find that, but I don't.
I know.
Like, I know for like high
protocol.
school, for instance, like when Devin was playing, he was concerned about getting concussions. He got X amount of concussions. Colleges wouldn't let you play; they wouldn't touch you. I don't know though if the NFL has a rule that says, "Oh, if you have 8 concussions, you're done." If they have a hard number, maybe they should.
I believe it's 3 in 1 season, and with them covering up and not calling the one a concussion, it was only 2 that season. If he gets a second one this year, the NFL might have to step in.
But last year
and change the ruling.
But last year he was clean, right? I don't think he had anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right. I
So
understand
that's
that.
what I'm
That's
saying.
what
He's
I'm
got a
saying.
year. He had a full season with no concussion, and now he's got this one. If he comes back and has another one, I don't think they would force him to miss the rest of the season, depending on when the season is. If it's week 17, he's done. But they need to look at a totality, kind of not just in a one season. Like what's the totality and the seriousness of them. See, this is what I'm saying. It's uncharted territory for them. Really, they got to be careful how to navigate this because if he says, "Look, I can't continue because of these concussions," they have to look at at the financial policies and whatnot. And then if he does continue, they have to look at their policies. Okay, at what point do we say, "No, dude, you're done"?
He needs to change that new helmet that they say does better than the Guardian cap to protect against concussions. He also possibly should even think about putting the Guardian cap on top of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's a question. Do you think that if he comes back, does he make a change like that? Do you think he will do any of that?
I honestly think that the Dolphins should almost force him to put it on. Like, dude,
Yeah.
who cares about the aesthetics at this point? You're freaking one or two concussions away from being bedridden, guy. We got to put you out here in the safest way possible. Because believe me, I think the Guardian caps look stupid too. But sometimes you got to do what's for your health and not what looks cool.
If they're going to
There-
trade for a backup from Dallas, the smart one would be Cooper Rush.
Oh,
Yep.
come on. I like the cheeseburger for Trey Lance trade that might. That was fun.
Oh, I like the comment, but I'm just saying if they were to trade
Yeah.
for a backup from Dallas, I would make it Cooper Rush.
So you'd include like a value meal and a second cheeseburger for him?
Yes. I
Oh.
would make it like a day 2 pick and possibly a day 3 pick. So they get a Happy Meal and an extra double cheeseburger.
Look at Matt wants Trey Lance Miami.
So
too.
hey, so that's why Tua went and look for another doctor, because in order to return, you have to get clearance by that doctor first.
Right.
It has to be an independent doctor, not affiliated with the NFL.
Okay.
Yep.
And even that
And-
to me, like,
But
Dude.
Miami went ahead and superseded it and put him on the IR, which means he's automatically out 4 weeks no matter what to protect himself.
and I think that was a smart move by Miami. A lot of kudos to them for doing
Yeah.
that because they're forcing him to take the time to see. That's what I'm saying. I think even Miami's preparing themselves for him to retire because they put him on that IR to force him to take the time to really think about it. That's why I think if he retires, Miami's just going to pay the rest. They'll give him the rest of the guarantee. I think Miami's prepared themselves to do that. Because I think they're serious when McDaniel gets up there and talks about him as a person and worried about him as a person. I think organizationally that's true. And I think that the fact that they put him on the IR for 4 weeks and they're forcing him to take the time, they're forcing him to really go through the wickets. And I'm sure they're going to have lots of discussions with him too. I guarantee you that they want to do everything they can to make sure that whatever decision he makes, he's been given every piece of possible information that could humanly be given. They want to check every block times 10, right? Because A, they don't want any blowback on them if something were to go bad. But B, I think they also legitimately, like, because of the culture that team has, they legitimately care about this guy's future. And that if he retires, I think they'll give him the $125 million guarantee or whatever it is, and kind of tell the NFL this is the policy you need to set. Like, this is their opportunity to go from a pariah in some ways to some of the actions Miami's taken over the years to becoming a leader for a change for good for players in the NFL or organizations. I think they're kind of prepared to do that, to be honest, just based on that one move and McDaniel's words. I mean, it kind of lines up. Now, the owner, of course, can jump in any time and say,
That's what I'm more banking on is, this all sounds real good and real nice. And, we care about the guy, but it's still a business at the very end of it. You're going to hand out $100 million and you don't have to.
But he's got to be careful with
Well,
that
guys.
because he doesn't want his team, his front office, and his coach, and JB's got a show to prepare for.
Yes, I do. I do have a few screenshots. So when you guys get ready to do your shows to set them up, message me and I'll email you the cover photo so you don't have to say powered by Restream.
Okay.
You know, the cover photos that you guys use for thumbnails for the shows? I have them all now.
Okay.
Okay.
That way we can get it right and do it right the whole 9 yards.
So, Miami versus Vikings
Good.
next season. That'd be fun, Sarah.
Oh
But I
yeah, you
don't
want to
think-
talk about freaking track meet? Well, if Miami can field the
That
quarterback,
won't happen. When did we last play that the AFC East? Was it
Like 2 seasons ago, we played the Dolphins. I remember
was that
that.
2 years
Yep.
ago?
2021.
Oh, yeah. No, the year
But,
after next. Yeah.
If you guys are live at 11:59 because of the way YouTube is a minute behind on the stream,
Yeah.
you're actually still live at noon.
okay.
Good to
Just to
know.
let you know, I figured that out because we go into my channel, and if you guys are live, it don't let me start at noon.
Okay.
Is it really happen? Is it really National Cheeseburger Day? Is that why Mike made
Yes.
the comment about trading a cheeseburger for Trey Lance?
Yes,
Look at you, Mike,
it
being
is
all super
National
sneaky.
Cheeseburger.
Well, shit. In
awesome.
that
That's
case,
awesome.
Ralph, I think we all might have to have
Yeah,
ourselves
just
cheeseburgers.
everybody go get a cheese. We could just trade a bunch of free cheeseburgers.
Yeah, Broski. No, the only thing we know, Broski, is this: that they put him on the IR for 4 weeks, so minimum 4 weeks. That's the only determination we have at this time. And like I said, I think most of us would agree that the determination could be made way faster than that. But they put him on the IR, and I think that's more like they really want to make sure, like, that they check every box ad nauseum.
See you,
Like
Josh.
they want there to be zero doubt. They want every piece of information that could possibly be given to Tua and the team to be given. They're not trying to rush this. They've signaled they're willing to take their time to figure this out, which says a lot. It says, well, A, they're covering their own asses, but B, they actually give a rat's ass about Tua a little bit. I mean, that's how I take it. That, because they didn't have to put him on the IR. They could just done the week thing, but they literally put him on the IR. And so it's not even an option for the next 4 weeks for him to play. So that's why we've been and that's why we've been talking about like what they're going to do. Is he going to find a doctor to medically clear him? That's going to be interesting. I want to see guys like
I was
Brett
going
Favre.
to say, if the doctor is a Miami fan, that might do it. So it depends on where he goes for it.
I want to see guys like Brett Favre chime in though, and really give an honest opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because these are guys who are now living with the effects.
Josh had to leave you a parting gift. Oh yeah, Ken. Bear suck
Yeah.
later.
That's okay.
Fucking Josh.
I mean, I want guys who are living through the after effects to chime in and have like I hope they bring in a guy like Brett Favre to talk to him about the effects. Especially he's got the new movie out called Concussed, where they're really looking at the concussions and they should have him talk to Brady and they should have him talk to Manning and Favre and other players. Not that I don't think Manning or those guys really got a lot of concussions, but guys who did, they need to. Michael Vick probably had more than a few. Like they really need to talk to him.
And on that terrible take, we want to thank all you guys for watching. Especially thanks everybody for commenting. You have yourselves a wonderful night, and make sure you go and watch JB.
And tonight it's Wednesday, Palace Hall, 8 p.m.